Wayne Kublalsingh, and you're now in tune with District TT Hard Talk. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to District TT, another episode of this fascinating show. We are devoted to sending you programs, hard talk, on the ground and in our studios. All right, good day. This is District TT. So we've had 3 days of incessant rainfalls with that, the flooding and the landslips. And I'm here to make a video. I'm here standing north across there. I'm pointing north across there. That's the northern range. Stretches from the Atlantic on that side of Toco, going along there to the Chaguaramas side, and then it continues on to South America and the Andes once it was attached to the South America mainland and Andes. So basically this is the Atlantic tip of the Andes. And this is the Caroni swamp here. Okay? All along here the Caroni swamp. It used to be rice land, Caroni Limited, and that's south of it. So this is the northern range here, and then this is the Caroni Plains, Caroni wetlands. And then we have the central range, and then you have the river plains on that side, and then you have the Urupuch plains beyond the Naparima plains and so on. So basically Trinidad and Tobago is a mountain, a long mountain range, and then you have a central range. Between them you have a flat area of land, very flat, swampland, lagoon, wetland. And between the south and the central you have another huge plain. So there are three things that you need to know, and first of all, this is scientific, you're not making this up. The ice caps are melting. If you go to the Himalayas, if you go to the Alps, if you go to the Kilimanjaro in Africa, if you go to the Andes, the tops of the mountain ranges, they're melting. So this means that you have more water in the system, it's going down the hill, and it's going and filling up the ocean. So you have sea rise, that's a fact. And you also have temperature increase. So what happens is that you have a lot of warm water in the Atlantic. Okay, the Atlantic is that way. And this wind comes in and they pick up megatons of heat. So you have a lot of water in the system, a lot of precipitation, and a lot of rainfall. The wasatrucks in the sky can't really manage all that rainfall, it's too much. Alright? And so, because of the precipitation, you have flooding and you have landslips. Landslips is basically the mountains and the mountainside getting soggy. Series of retention dams on the Caroni Plains there. To collect the water, has to be deep enough, and you use the water during the dry season. Well, the proverbially dry season. There's no longer going to be a real dry season. There's no cut and dry, wet and dry season anymore. So the farmers use the water during the non-wet season, and then you collect the water during the retention dams. From the point of view of governance, I think we need to have, I think that the regional corporations are neutered. They have the authority, but I don't think that they have the leadership to really control and mitigate this flooding. They don't have the capacity to do it, and therefore you need to have 41 constituency chiefs with the executives and polling division captains and so on, so that he could take charge of all of this. So you need a transformation in the constitution to make the governments and government leaders in local constituency chiefs more responsive to the people. And finally, what can you do? Well, there's a lot of things you can do, thousands of things you can do, but I think one of the things that you can surely do is you have to get into small boat manufacture, small craft manufacture, and don't import from abroad. I see a lot of people importing these plastic vessels from abroad. You don't have to, you can make it here. You build a huge industry of small crafts and small boats and so on, because each polling division, if you could get each polling division, there are about 30 polling divisions in each constituency, and if you could get each polling division to have their own manufacturing base with small craft and so on, because this is not going to stop, it's going to get worse, and the government has to mitigate, and then finally, if they have the capacity to do it, they'll have to transform and transition Yeah, well, of course, the government has to transition to a green economy. Right now, we consume about 8,000 gigawatt hours of electricity per year, and most of this burden is taken up by fossil fuels. And we need to make sure that a lot of more load goes on to green, developing an architecture, rural architecture for green energy and the green economy. So I'm very sorry that all of those people who have to go through the floods and so on, you have to start building upstairs houses, forget about downstairs, especially in the plain areas. But this is going to happen, and it's not going to stop. It's going to continue. And what you have to do is to mitigate, and diversify the economy. Thanks very much. Alright, this is Wayne Kublalsingh speaking from the flooded Caroni Plains, and I hope you tune into another episode of the effervescent Hard Talk.